All right, here's another interesting problem that I came up with. I actually had forgot to mention this in the first video, but that's okay because it's kind of an ongoing thing. Let me show you something really interesting with settlements. Now, I don't recall seeing this in the past, in my previous games. I just noticed it in this game. So let me go to the settlement here, and I'll show you what I'm referring to. All right, so we're here in workshop mode, right? Well, let me go out of workshop mode and show you the problem. Okay, so and this particular problem I've looked up on the internet. This seemed to have existed in the past, so this seems to be something that is existing in the game. It's been for a while, and I don't know exactly why. But what Curie won't do it, but watch what I'm doing. So I'm gonna walk here, right? And notice that I get stuck. Okay, that is because these boards beneath me, they have no clipping. And I noticed it a lot on foundations. Okay, so there's no clipping here because there's no sound. You can hear me walking on the grass. See, it's like there's no collision. There's no mesh collision. Okay, so if I go in here and let's go into workshop mode. So if we go into workshop mode, you can see that I can select objects, but I cannot select these boards. I can select this one right here, okay, but I cannot select these. And I've seen this only happen with foundations and the little front of the buildings. Let's see. I don't have one here. It's the little, it's one of these. I can show you real quick. It's this wall. It's this particular object here. So this object and then these floor objects like this, I have a problem with in a lot of settlements. One of the things that fixes it, at least I think most of the time, is I can go in and I can delete the actual object. I could go in, I could see where it says shack foundation. I can disable this. So I'm assuming that's safe. Make sure I got that right. I'm assuming that's safe to be removed, right? Then I can add a floor back in. So I can do this. This works just fine. Okay, see how I can select it? Okay, well, let's go ahead and turn this maybe. See if we can flip this somehow. There we go. Okay, but I still can't select these. Now, sometimes I've noticed that if I reload the cell, because I loaded directly into this, I was back over here. So I'm going to save this, and then let's reload this right back. And this may be this may be the cause of those crashes with the nav mesh. This may be part of the problem. Okay, so solid, and I believe it's all solid now. So let me check. So let's go back into workshop mode. See, now it works. So if you remember, I only replaced this one right here, but now the other two that had no clipping, or the one that had no clipping, actually has, or nav mesh has, it has collision detection or nav mesh now. Okay, now I've noticed this in settlements, and what it does, it will actually prevent the AI. It'll prevent the AI from pathing, because I believe stairs. Let's go back into it. I believe stairs, little staircases, might become disconnected because it has to connect the nav mesh points to create a walkable path. You know, if you have nav mesh segments, it's got to be able to navigate. Well, navigating the segment is not necessarily a problem unless there is like little sections of the nav mesh are cut out. Nav cutting, I think they call it. So these objects, for some reason, are not selectable. I can select them via the console, as you saw, and I can mark and delete and replace them, or I can simply reload the cell. Now, what I did was I loaded directly into the game. So I started back here. This is that game save from the previous video where I had just come from that fish packing place or wherever I was when I had we fought all those ghouls, and I had those where it stack dumped, where the stack frames had this just burst of just a ton of on collision or something frames put on Curie. I think it was 1,010. But I'm beginning to wonder if that problem right there, because I've never really looked at settlements, like I've built them and then I've just gone off and done stuff. And I wonder if that is part of the problem where the nav meshes aren't being properly updated or something, and that is what's causing nav mesh crashes in settlements. It's just a thought, but I wanted to show you that and let you see it firsthand. Yeah, and like I say, reloading the cell seems to work. At first I went in and I disabled... Oh, and let's just see if it does it in... let's go to... Starlight Drive-In. Let's go to that, and let's see if it works. Because I've been removing the foundation, and so far the only foundations I generally use are the ones that are on posts. The foundation that is on posts, and I've been replacing those with just flat pieces of floor. It's just a floor piece, not a foundation piece. I haven't tried the concrete ones yet. But also one of the problems I'll have is with God, here comes ghouls. Is with these door faces. So let's go into workshop mode. Okay, so that is fine. So far that is good. And I'll also have problems with these buildings here. But I've been replacing the foundations here with floors, and it looks like the flooring works fine. It's just whatever it is with that shack foundation, it doesn't like. So I'm thinking that if for some reason, let's see here. Yeah, there's one. No, we're good. Okay, so I've been replacing the foundations with flat floors, and then it seems like if one of the foundations, for some reason, the nav mesh or whatever, it doesn't update properly, then anything connected, anything sitting on it is not going to work either. So it's going to consider it's in a non-nav mesh zone, and it's not going to be nav meshed. And what that results in is I literally could walk through, because there's no collision, I could walk through anything that is not nav meshed, or anything that has no collision, I could walk through it. So I literally could walk through this wall. And I first noticed it over here. It involved these barn walls, like this right here. This is an example of what I'm talking about. See, for some reason, this wall doesn't have any collision. Now, if I reload the cell, it probably will. So let's try that and see. Alright, let's save it. And then let's reload and see if reload fixes it. So there's something when traveling to and from cells, going in and out of cells, the objects in the cell are not completely updating properly. Alright, let's see if it works now. See, now it works just fine. I can't pass through it. So loading into something works because I guess it completely initializes whatever I'm loading into, and when I'm going from cell to cell, it's only updating the data that it thinks it's going to use. So something is being messed up. Let's see if this crashes. Alright, let's save this. These are a lot of ghouls. There's some laser turrets up here. Let's kite them in. Alright, let's see if we can bring them into the fray here. And let's see if she crashes with some kind of weird ghoul problem. And there is a ton of ghouls coming in. There.
You have died.
There.
Fabulous.
That's what I'm talking about. Okay, so let's see what the crash was. Alright, let's wait for this to update. I don't have this with raiders or anything, only ghouls. So let's go in and take a look at the buff out log real quick, and let's see. Alright. Okay, it's null reference. We got a null reference. And it looks... See, it's a nav mesh thing again. So there the nav mesh is coming in. So I wonder, I'm beginning to wonder if this crash is because settlers are trying to path, or something is trying to generate a path. Because yeah, I don't know. This I'm not sure. But this is the second time I've had it looks like a nav mesh crash, maybe. It may have simply loaded the nav mesh and it was moving the object. It looks like a lot of these are rebuild settlements. So I'm not sure what the form ID is or what it's doing, but that is the problem I'm having. Now, I don't recall having that problem before with ghouls, but then again, I didn't kite in that many ghouls to a settlement. But I've never used rebuild all in one. So what I could possibly do on the next run is skip the rebuild settlements, simply go in and just use my transfer settlements, and then see if that is what's causing the problem. I'll have to take rebuild all in one out to make sure that, because if I don't, anytime I scrap buildings that it wants me to rebuild, it'll automatically rebuild it. So not really sure, but that is the problem I'm having. So I'll mark that down to do a little bit of research on it a little bit later. But that shows you the crash that I'm having. But more importantly, it shows you how the settlements are not loading the objects properly. So I don't know if that's linked to rebuild all in one or not. Might take a little bit of research to figure it out. But just wanted to share that and show you where I stand on the bugs and all the fun stuff that comes with modding games. All right, so chat at you later.